Hello students, welcome back to my channel Literary Meet. আগৰ ভিডিঅ'টোত মই ফিউডেলিজম এণ্ড মেডিয়েভেল ৱৰ্ল্ডৰ ওপৰত কিছুমান কুৱেশ্যন এনচাৰ্ছ ডিছকাছ কৰিছিলোঁ। চ' আজিৰ পাৰ্ট 2 সেই ভিডিঅ'টোৰে ছেকেণ্ড পাৰ্ট হ'ব, য'ত মই আৰু কেইটামান 2 অথবা 5 আৰু 10 মাৰ্কছৰ কুৱেশ্যন ডিছকাছ কৰিম। ভিডিঅ'টো স্কিপ নকৰাকৈ শেষৰলৈকে চাবা আৰু চেনেলটো ছাবস্ক্ৰাইব কৰিবলৈ নাপাহৰিবা, যাতে এনেকুৱা ভিডিঅ'ছবোৰ আগৰলৈ পাই থাকা। Question number 1. Comment on the decline of feudalism in Europe 5 অথবা 10 marksৰ বাবে, or write about the causes of the decline of feudalism in medieval Europe. এটো যদি 5 marksৰ বাবে আহে তেনেহলে তোমালোকে ইয়াপা 5টা ৰিজন অকমানকে এক্সপ্লেইন কৰি দিলেই হ'ল, আৰু যদি 10 marksৰ বাবে আহে তেনেহলে তোমালোকে feudalismৰ বিষয়ে কিছু কথা লিখি তাৰ পিছত ইয়াৰ কজেছবোৰ, ইয়াৰ ডিক্লাইনৰ কজেছবোৰ দি দিলে হৈ যাব। Answer. The major causes of the decline of feudalism in medieval Europe included political changes in England, disease and wars. The causes are discussed below. Growth of trade and commerce. The enormous growth of trade and commerce also contributed to the decline of feudalism, as it led to the liberation of the serfs. With the growth of trade and commerce, many new cities and towns also grew, which provided new work opportunities. The serfs got an opportunity to free themselves from the feudal lords by taking up the opportunity to work in new towns. According to the feudal laws, a serf was freed if he stayed away from the manor for more than a year. Political changes. Feudalism was a system that kept the peasants tied to the land and made their labor compulsory. With passing of time, the concept of individual rights became stronger gradually, especially in England. For example, the 12th century reforms of Henry II expanded the legal rights of a person facing trial. In 1215, King John was forced to approve the Magna Carta, a document obligating the crown to uphold the common law. Years later, Edward I finally extended parliamentary membership to common people. These developments made the concept of agricultural slavery unjustifiable. Social unrest. War and disease reduced a large number of population in Europe, due to which peasant labor had become valuable, yet conditions made for the serfs remained unchanged. The tax demands from the peasants grew higher. The peasants were unable to survive in these circumstances. The peasants' revolt began in England, France, Italy, etc. End of the Middle Age. The end of serfdom or feudal laborers marked the decline of feudalism. Europe's manor could no longer be in a functional state without labor supply. Feudalism faded and was replaced by the early capitalist structures of the Renaissance. Landowners turned to privatized farming for profit. Laborers were provided better wages, payment, and liberties as they demanded. The slow growth of urbanization began with a worldly view that was the hallmark of the Renaissance. The 100 Years' War. The war is considered as one of the main reasons of the decline of feudalism. In 1377, England and France started a war over territorial rights. In the feudalism, the vassals and serfs worked in the manor bound by a law of lifetime service. But when this war broke out between the two countries, the army of both countries expanded its rank with the feudal laborers, weakening the manorial system while increasing the value of commoners by teaching them military skills. The Black Death. The Black Death pandemic occurred 10 years after the 100 Years' War that created the greatest threat to the medieval cities. The plague came to England in 1348, and the spread of this disease swept away a large number of population in Europe. This horrific disease killed 1/3 of the population in Europe, which resulted in economic slowdown and social disclosure. The pandemic was a new challenge for feudalism as the agricultural system was already declining. The severe condition made the laborers run away to larger cities. Describe the hierarchy system of the rulers in feudalism. 5 or 10 marks. Feudalism refers to a kind of agricultural production which is based on the relationship between lords and peasants. The king divided his estates among the lords. The lords distributed the land among the feudal lords. The feudal lords was loyal to his master and gave him military service and gifts. There was a hierarchy system in feudalism. In this feudal hierarchy, kings were at the top, nobles were below them, knights after them, and peasants were at the lowest class. The peasants worked as bounded laborers on the piece of land given by their master. The hierarchy system is described below. The king was the top leader of the land. The king could not control or protect all the land by himself alone, so he divided it among the barons or the lords. In return, the barons or lords showed their loyalty and offered military assistance to the king. After the death of the king, his firstborn son would inherit his throne. Nobles. The barons and high-ranking nobles ruled over the large areas of land called fief. They reported directly to the king and were very powerful. They divided their lands among feudal lords who ran individual manors. Their job was to maintain an army which was at the king's service. If they were unable to provide army, then they had to pay tax instead. Knights. The knights used to run the local manors. They also could be called into a battle as they used to fight for the nobles. They used to offer protection to the serfs or peasants and get food from them in return. Peasants or serfs. Peasants or serfs were at the bottom or the lowest class of the hierarchy system in feudalism. They were the poorer people who used to work in the manor or the land given in exchange of food. They were tied to the land for a lifetime service. Discuss the church rule in medieval age. 5 to 10 marks. Before the kings, the clergy was the top ruler of the medieval Western Europe. It included the pope, bishops, and the clerics. They enjoyed a significant place in the Catholic Church. The head of the church was called the Pope, who lived in Rome. The bishops and the clerics used to guide the Christians in Europe. Most of the villages had their own individual churches. People gathered in the church every Sunday to pray and listen to the sermon by the priest. The church had its own rules. According to these rules, not everyone could become a priest. The serfs, the women, and those who were physically disabled couldn't become a priest. The men who became priests could not marry. During the church rule, the church was the largest landholder in Europe. The church had great economic power. They got some land as gifts from kings and wealthy nobles, while some land was taken forcefully. The church was also politically powerful. The kings and lords followed the church's advices. Most of the people in medieval Europe were Christians who obeyed the Roman Catholic Church. The people that lived in the villages had local churches led by their local priests. People of the Middle Age were very religious in Europe during the church rule. Despite having so much power, the church rule was over at one point of time. Due to immense power, the church authorities started becoming careless and dominating towards the people. There occurred wide beliefs in witches, superstition, and magic. Church became violent. It ordered violent acts like burning of people who opposed the idea of religion and God. When the Black Death pandemic killed a large number of population in Europe, the church declared it as a punishment for the people. This way, the church started weakening and the church rule came to an end. Write the key features of feudalism. 5 or 10 marks. Feudalism refers to a kind of agricultural production which is based on the relationship between lords and peasants. The king divided his estates among the lords. The lords distributed the land among the feudal lords. The feudal lord was loyal to his master and gave him military service and gifts. There was a hierarchy system in feudalism. In this feudalism hierarchy, kings were at the top, nobles were below them, knights after them, and peasants were at the lowest class. The peasants worked as bonded laborers on the piece of land given by their master. The key features of feudalism are described below. Decentralized authority. Feudalism was characterized by a decentralized power structure. Political authority was demolished with local lords and nobles holding significant autonomy and control over their territories. Feudal hierarchy. A pyramid-like hierarchy was at the heart of feudalism. The king of monarchs was at the top. Below them were powerful lords and vassals followed by the nobles and knights. Peasants were at the bottom. Land ownership and fiefs. Land ownership was central to feudal relationship. Lord granted pieces of land known as fiefs to their vassals who in turn provided military service. Loyalty and military service. The feudal relationship was based on granting land in exchange of loyalty and military service. Manorial system. The manor was a landed estate or a territorial unit that was owned by a lord and run by serfs or peasants. The lord provided protection and justice And the peasants gave food in exchange. Who started the Peasants' Revolt and when? For 2 marks. Walt Tyler started the Peasants' Revolt in 1381. Why did serfs try to run away to towns? Many serfs ran away to towns to make themselves free for labor. According to the feudal law, if a serf stayed away from the manor for more than a year, he could become a free man. আজিৰ ভিডিঅ'টোত ইমানেই বাকি এনেদৰে ভিডিঅ'ছবোৰ পাই থাকিবলৈ চেনেলটো সাবস্ক্ৰাইব কৰি থোৱা আৰু ভিডিঅ'টো হেল্পফুল পালা যদি নিজৰ ফ্ৰেণ্ডছৰ লগত শ্বেয়াৰ কৰিবলৈ নাপাহৰিবা আৰু ভিডিঅ'ছ আহি আছে ষ্টে কানেক্টেড থ্যাংক ইউ